You're listening to the podcast called What No One Knows. I'm your host, Lisa Marie Garcia. Please join us as I talk with some of the most important influencers, from entrepreneurs to C-suites to founders to venture capitalists. You will want to know their answer to the question, what no one knows. Thank you for joining. Okay, hello, this is Lisa Marie Garcia, and you are watching and listening to another episode of What No One Knows. We are in the beautiful Wave Studio 1 podcast studio at the Tampa Bay Wave, located in downtown Tampa Bay on a beautiful day today. Not too hot, never cold in Tampa Bay. So I'm excited to have in studio Dee Garcia. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, but we're going to dig in because she's got so much to share with us today. She is part of the Tampa Bay Wave team. She is the Director of Development and Strategic Partnerships. We're going to let her tell us a little bit more about the Tampa Bay Wave. If you're not familiar, you're going to be very excited to hear about the work they do and part of why we were doing this podcast. But she has corporate experience, banking experience as an executive. She has tons of client-facing skills over her professional career in both the U.S. and the global marketing area. I've got corporations she's worked with, Wells Fargo, PNC, Citibank, and so much to her, to what she does in the community with nonprofit organizations. And I'm very happy to have known her for the time that I have. And welcome, Dee, to the studio.
Thank you, Liza, for having me. I'm excited to be here and excited to be part of your podcast.
Well, we are happy that you're here. So I want to first dig in, if you would, as a longtime team member of the Tampa Bay Wave, right? Please just share with people that maybe have never heard about the Tampa Bay Wave. I can't believe they exist, but there's probably a few of them. Please share with us the work that Tampa Bay Wave does, and then dig into what your role is here.
Well, Tampa Bay Wave, as you know, is a nonprofit technology accelerator. So we help tech startups bring life-changing ideas to the environment, and they really are startup founders who are building a dream and pursuing their passions, bringing their knowledge and talent to make something that will make the world a better place. I've been here just under 5 years now. As you mentioned, my background in banking serves me well, as my responsibilities include not only ensuring that Wave has the financial support that it needs, but also those strategic partnerships. We are big networkers ourselves, and love being a part of a community, not only just in the Tampa Bay area, but across the entire ecosystem. So
I didn't know it was 5 years. It seems like it's been 50 years. And the Wave is 10 years old, 11 years old?
11 years old, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, congratulations, right? That's quite a good accomplishment. It's quite an accomplishment, as we all know, those stats of startups and entrepreneurs, how many fail the first year, the first 5 years, first 7, 10. Usually those are the stats that I'm familiar with. But so with the Tampa Bay Wave, and as you said, building strategic partnerships, making sure that the funds are allocated, as you said, it's a not-for-profit, so is it a lot of, how do you get the funds? There's a question besides the sponsorships from companies. There's a government element, I know, right?
We do. We really work hard to balance Wave's funding sources. And so we pursue both federal and non-federal grants. We're blessed by support from the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. And we also really ask the question, what does an organization, an individual, or a foundation stand for? And then how can Wave offer value back in support of that passion and their view of what they want to be known for?
Win-win situation always needs to exist, right?
Absolutely.
And actually, as we're talking numbers, and I was thinking about numbers, share the numbers of unbelievable numbers, really, of how much money. I saw a big marquee on it, right? Share how much money that the Wave has brought in, and then also that great quantity of how many startups have launched and all of that.
Well, I love quoting our stats. So we've helped more than 550 startups in our, as you mentioned, first 11 years. We calculate our economic impact exceeds $300 million annually. That represents more than 5,500 well-paying jobs. We, as you know, both support local companies as well as recruiting nationally and globally, bringing those entrepreneurs to see the Tampa Bay area as a place that they may want to relocate their business. So we've had nearly 36 companies relocate here, and we reflect not only the value that the programs represent, but you're talking more than 450 flights through the Tampa International Airport, more than 1,400 hotel room night stays, and the money that these startup founders and their teams spend while they're here live in our programs.
Tampa Bay tourism loves the Tampa Bay Wave, I can only imagine, right? Yeah, I love those stats. It's really, to me, astonishing because 11 years doesn't seem like enough time to be as effective as the Wave is, for sure. That's my opinion. So let's talk about one of the things I loved about your background and your bio is your corporate experience. And I sort of came from that as well. I came from IBM. And then after I was in IBM, then I would work with large corporate companies. And at that time, you really become engrossed into their values and how they do things. I mean, when you not need to extract something from a corporate client, anyone that's listening knows, it's not necessarily your way and how you would normally go about it. You've got to adjust, right, to that. So what is in your experience is different about being in a corporation, working in a corporation versus who you're surrounded with all the time with the cohorts and the startups and the, bootstrapped entrepreneurs or the VC funded entrepreneurs. Kind of talk about that a little bit because in your experience.
So I would say that my corporate background really serves me well, and it really gives me an appreciation for not only how organizations are operating, but it's given me great training for managing large, complex relationships. But because I was a banker and also supported family-owned businesses and smaller companies, in addition to the Fortune 100s that I had the fortune to bank, I would say that it also gave me an appreciation for how hard it is to run a business, right? Especially a successful one. And you mentioned yourself the high rates of failure, the things that Wave brings to these startups to help them be successful and put them on a path of long-term success includes the mentorship and the networking and the connections. And part of my role, frankly, is to help them find customers. And so I'm always looking for potential supplier diversity programs or needs that some of our corporate and business partners might have that these startups can fulfill.
It's definitely what do the startups need, what do the large corporations need, and they need each other for resources as one, right? For people resources. I love that you brought that up. And I do think there's a difference, complete difference with that startup entrepreneur mindset. Inevitable, of course, with someone versus a professional that's been in business for 25 or 30 years, and sometimes their paths don't necessarily meet or they don't work together. And I think the Wave does an excellent job of connecting those two types, especially within the mentor program that I'm in and the mentor surge. And I always walk away from those. I think one time I saw you, I'm like, I'm just astounded by the innovation and the energy and the focus, thinking I've seen it all. I learned something new all the time, and I was energized by it. So the Wave, and I've heard this over and over in these interviews with mentors, that the Wave does such a great job in connecting the people and identifying, even cherry picking, okay, you, Brett, for instance, you need to talk to this person, or you cohort, this is a company that's going to help you out. That, money can't buy that. That's honestly, it's a fantastic thing. And I know you're such a part of that as you bring more and more fantastic partners to the Wave. So,
well, I would tell you that the Wave staff, we're a small staff, but we are, connectors. It's in our DNA, right? Who do I know that would be someone that you would like to know? You mentioned large corporates. I'll also mention, though, that we have a number of small and medium-sized businesses who connect with us in a number of ways. We offer an opportunity for them to showcase their expertise, to meet with people and organizations they might not otherwise have a chance to connect with. It never ceases to amaze me as to who might be in the room, right? Who has a curiosity about technology? And there's no age limit on that. There's no business size limit on that. It just is a great group of people who show up at our events and like to connect with one another.
I've met so many great people here is what was going through my head. You're 100% right. I've met so many that that are amazing, have accolades, have awards, are, whether small, large, medium, but the main key is they have that passion for being with tech and entrepreneurship and helping startups and all that. So you guys do a very good job of that. The people, it's all about the people.
It is.
So, kind of digging in a teeny bit more to the Wave and what they do. In this show, I've had again the opportunity to have many mentors comment on the uniqueness of the Tampa Bay Wave cohort program from cohorts and mentors. And now that we're 11 years in, if we went back 11 years, how minimal maybe startups and accelerators were. Now it seems there's many, many more. What would you say is one of maybe the key differences of the Wave to maybe what you know of from other startups nationally, not necessarily in Tampa? What you've seen or what you've heard, maybe could you explain what you think is a primary difference with the Wave?
Happy to. So I'd have to start with our people, right? The team itself brings a wide range of both entrepreneurial experiences, as well as you mentioned, those of us that have come from either military or corporate experiences used to working on large teams. I would also want to give a shout out to our mentors. You mentioned them. We are so grateful for the fact that these are professionals who are volunteering their time. They start with a sincere interest in helping and advocating for the startups. The same thing for our advisory councils, right? They're using their professional experiences and connections to benefit someone else. I would also say to you that we are absolutely thrilled whenever our startups are successful enough to return and either coach one another or mentor one another, or when they're in an economic position to do so, to support Wave. And there are a number of ways that they do that. So for us, that is the full circle where they're giving back to the next generation. So I would say that when you ask about the differentiators for Wave and other accelerator programs, we recruit from them. We refer our startups to them. It's a rising, I'll use a pun here, rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes.
And so we really are focused on what's best for the founders that are in our cohorts. We don't take a wash, rinse, repeat approach to the curriculum that they're going through. We literally interview that group of people and ask them, what do they need? How can we be helpful? And then we execute on that.
Excellent. I didn't know that you did that with each cohort, but I believe you. So let's kind of dig into now the not-for-profit, your community involvement, your passion in this Tampa Bay community. You're very well known. You're very well liked. Do we know Dee Garcia? Yes, we know Dee Garcia. Everyone knows Dee Garcia. So, and that doesn't just come by accident. It's the work you do, and it's who you support. So just share with our listeners maybe some of your favorites, or maybe just share, and maybe also people might be interested to know, how they can help or how they can be a part of some of the organizations you are in.
Well, I'm lucky enough to have grown up in the area. I grew up in Clearwater and then moved to Tampa when I started college. I'm a proud USF Bull, and it pleases me no end to be able to serve on the USF Foundation Board. And I've been a long supporter of the USF Women in Leadership and Philanthropy. I fund a scholarship in my mother's name, and I remain active with Tampa Bay Chambers Leadership, Tampa alumni. And over the course of my career here, I've been able to be involved in a number of community organizations. I particularly love being at this point in my career and serving with a nonprofit. In terms of how people can get involved, the first thing is to reach out, meet up with a Wave team member. Let's get to know you and what you're looking for. You've already mentioned the mentor network. We do vet our mentors to make sure that they bring the kinds of skills and attitude, right? That they're there for those startups and that the startup's interest is primary in their mind. Certainly the events that we host, the the things that we do with other organizations. We're out and about. You'll find us at conferences, at meetings, at city events, anything that we can do to help the community be a better place. Most of us are longtime. Linda is our CEO, is born and raised here in the area. And so you have deep roots and deep passions about the region.
Thanks for addressing how people can, or the process for people to become mentor advisors. Is it as simple if someone says, I have a passion for tech, I would love to work with the Wave, or what about a startup organization and once that fits the, fintech, whatever that is, how easy is it for them to contact the Wave and try?
Well, you give me a great opening to announce the launching of our brand new website, where we have added links. There's a frequently asked questions section in the back that hopefully will address a number of questions that people might have starting out. We also are very active in social media. The portal that we use to recruit startups and offer them an opportunity to apply for our programs is called Gust. And startup founders tend to be aware of that portal. So I encourage them to not only explore that, but to sign up for our biweekly newsletter, where they'll get updates in terms of whenever we're opening a portal. The application portals for our 5 accelerators tend to open about 120 days before the launch of the accelerator itself. That gives us a chance to review the applications, and we get hundreds of applications for each of the accelerators that we run. So we review those applications, meet with the startups that are vetted, and then select the performers for the community to know when we're launching. We always do a press release the day one of each accelerator. It announces the companies who have been selected. It gives a little bit about them and why that particular accelerator should be of interest. And I guess I should say the 5 accelerators, right? We do 3 that are industry-based. The first part of the year, we typically do cyber tech. We then follow that with tech diversity, which is diversity-based and focused on startup founders who are from diverse or underrepresented populations. We're grateful to the Nielsen Foundation, who has powered that for the past 7 years for us. We then host our health tech accelerator that happens to be going on now as we're recording this. We partner with USF Health and Camels and a number of other community partners in the healthcare space. Lebo Health has just joined us as a partner in that.
Fantastic.
Then right behind that, we'll do our 3rd year of FinTech in partnership with USF's Muma College of Business. And we host that at the USF St. Petersburg campus to feature their FinTech Center. And we were blessed this year with Congresswoman Kathy Castor's advocacy to secure funding from the SBA to back our Latin Tech Accelerator. We are hoping to find more funding to repeat that. And advance announcement is many people know that we have been partnering with the St. Pete Innovation District, USF Marine Sciences, and some others to pursue a major grant from the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Agency, NOAA, for a blue tech accelerator that would help startups to commercialize the kinds of technologies that would offer ocean climate resiliency, which is so important for Florida's coastline.
Big time.
Yep.
Sorry, I got excited about that blue tech, right? And
we were all excited,
right? Aren't we?
Yep.
And that is the first cohort group of blue tech, right?
It will be. If we get the funding, it will be a brand new cohort, just like the Latin Tech, where we felt like we were some of the first in the country to offer that kind of programming. The response from this community in terms of the advisory council members and the passion was so welcoming for the startup founders, and they feel that, they know it.
They know it, I know it, we felt it, and it was in many ways the Latin Tech group. It was in a few ways the first in the nation. I was very proud for the Wave that they had that tech. It was
and you were helpful. You helped tell their stories, right? Through the book that you published. Now each one of those founders can say, I've been published.
That's right. I need to publish it in Spanish now. I remember that's on my to-do list. No,
there you go.
I'm glad you explained and went through the cohort groups. One other follow-up question on that, just because I know about the Latin Tech part of it, is approximately how many, you can pick any of them, how many applications do you get to choose the cohorts? And are the cohorts, is there like a number like 15 to 20, or what is that number on that? Explain that. I think it's
So the
fascinating.
number of applicants to some degree varies based on the accelerator, but we typically get a couple of hundred applications. There are 15 seats in each accelerator. That can vary a little bit, but we try to keep the group small so that we can provide that individualized attention. And as you know, we don't charge for our accelerators. Those are supported by the sponsorships and the grants that we pursue.
Yeah, they are definitely, from the cohorts groups that I've worked with, I mean, they are just experts. And they're, again, the innovation of the ideas and what they're put in motion by the time the mentors see them, and obviously how you vetted them, it's astounding. They just are the best, and the Wave just lets them become even better. So I knew that this was going to go fast, and it has. I'm looking at our time here. So before I ask you the key question of the podcast, can you share what you think is really key, as you've been with the Wave for 5 years, the countless cohort groups that you've worked with, the countless people that you work with in partnerships? Is there a quality that you see that seems to be so important, and it's just a great quality that you see in the cohorts that kind of, you know, why they became chosen to be a cohort, a quality that you see in a partnership that you're like, oh, that's going to make a great partnership? What would you share that way, just, you know, kind of stepping back a high level?
Well, I would certainly, I'm going to default, but I'm going to use a Spanish word, and hopefully I pronounce it correctly. My husband would use the term espabilado, right? Where the lights are on, you've got this passion, you've got people who are going to pursue when it gets hard. They have the right kind of intent, and they are the kinds of people that other people like to be around. And I would say that you could use that same approach for the Wave team. The startup founders, some of them start companies from a very, very deep place. We have 550 different stories that we could tell, and some of them come motivated from a very deep place, whether it's caring for someone else, a sibling who maybe has had to overcome a challenge that they themselves have had to overcome, or something in their lives that really had caused them to have to pivot and think about what's next for them from a very new place.
I love that. And sometimes we forget that, you know, we think, well, we know that entrepreneurs start a company because they're answering a question, they're solving a problem, but sometimes, and it's not that they're not doing that, but sometimes we forget. I mean, you know, we've got, for the Latin Tech, all over the world in you know, underdeveloped areas and that. And you're right about that. There are many of them come from solving problems that are truly epic, just to use a word there. So, all right. So the last question for you on the podcast name, What No One Knows, is to share something that maybe no one knows, maybe Fred knows, or very few people know about you. What can you share about from Dee Garcia of What No One Knows?
Oh, well, I have to be careful about not getting emotional about this one, but I started with Wave right as COVID started. And at the time, in our old building, we had a co-working space. And I walked in one day to one of our founders who was having to lay off 240 people that day. As you might recall, the early COVID government support programs did not support startups, right? Because you had to have 3 years worth of tax returns, you had to have a certain number of employees, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, you know, this poor guy is beside himself because he's going to be unintentionally affecting the lives of all of these people that have been working for him. And so I thought, what can I do? I literally had just started with Wave, but I thought, okay, well, I was a banker. Maybe I could stand up an emergency fund. And if I can stand up an emergency fund, then I might be able to find ways for Wave to make microloans that would help these startups to stay in business while they were waiting for the programs that would help them, you know, longer term. And I did. So I wrote the loan agreements, the evaluation process, formed a loan committee. We created an application portal. Every one of those loans was repaid. I happened to meet one of the startup founders for the first time. We talked by phone a lot, but I'd never actually met him until last year at our health tech showcase. He had gotten down to $50 in his checking account. The loan helped him to stay. And let me tell you what his startup does is it helps people walk. And so if you ask me my why, and you ask about the why of all of us who do what we do, it's to help somebody else.
There it is. My goodness. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. And no one would necessarily know that that's not on the new website. That's not part of the great branding the Wave does. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being here. And thank you for continuing to be here on the Wave.
My pleasure. Please
Thanks.
come back anytime.
Thank you. All right. Thanks again, Dee Garcia.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our show, What No One Knows. If you'd like more information regarding our guests, it's in the description below, as well as if you'd like to work with our publishing and promotion team, that you can also find in the links. Thank you.